Hi everybody! Today I thought I'd take a break from colouring in my Wizzard, and I've been working on this guy who's from Colouring Heaven Fantasy Figures Special by Maud Lamoine. I've been working on him, and I wanted to give him the same kind of colour hair as my Strawberry Lady, who's also from the Christine Karron Wildflower Folk book. There she is. I wanted to give him the same kind of colour hair as she's got, and I did write down a combination, so I'm kind of going to be testing it to see if I wrote it down right more than anything else, and to see how it works on the white paper, because yeah, this is the creamy colour paper. Sorry for the glare, the lamp is on. This is the creamy colour paper, so it will probably turn out looking a little bit different anyways, but I thought I'd give it a go, as it will go in with my theme I've got going here, sort of steampunky blue and kind of gold theme. So I figured I'd film it for you guys to see how it works and if it does work. And yeah, we'll just take a look. We'll dive right on in. These are the colours that I wrote down, so we're going to be using those today and see if we can get the same kind of results. There are Arteza pencils, apart from the polychromos black that's looking a bit beat up and worn out, but yeah, that's the polychromos black. These are all Arteza Expert, so it's dark chocolate brown. I think that's A310. There's burnt umber, which is A306. Raw umber, A302. And camel brown, A300. And I didn't actually write this one down, but I've picked it up anyway just in case I need it. That's yellow ochre, A109, just in case I need it. But these are the main pencils that I did write down for the combination, along with the white. There'll possibly be a little bit of glare because this moon I've painted with the metallic watercolour paint, so if possible I will zoom in close enough that shouldn't make too much of a difference. And I'll start with the polychromos black, just for the darkest areas down by his roots. And Maud Lamoine does tend to do a little bit of grayscale in her drawings, so where possible I'll just follow that. Keep the darker areas down by the roots, I think. The light would be coming from the moon, which is over there, so mostly this bit would be light coming down into the darkness as we get further towards this side of the page, so just see how it turns out. I'm hoping it looks something similar, because that was the plan for this guy, to have that kind of golden blonde colour. And I did kind of write down the combination after the fact, so I'm hoping I did remember it right, and this will be giving the same kind of results, because I did like that hair colour. So there we go. I'll just try and work in this area so we're away from that moon and hopefully it won't be too much glare. Going in with the burnt umber now, again trying to keep it down towards the root and kind of working in hair kind of strokes from the root towards the end. I might not need that yellow ochre, but we'll see how it goes. I might need to make adjustments with it being on the white paper, so moving on to the next darkest colour, that's the dark chocolate. This time trying to make it really faint as we get up towards the top where the moonlight would be. I'll probably go in there with some of my usual white gel pen highlights. That moonlight shining. I tried out a slightly different colour for the moon actually with the watercolour paints. This one is kind of a bluish green. This is raw umber I'm going in with now. It's kind of a bluish green, yeah, the moon. Made of green cheese, I suppose. But I wanted to make a bit of a change from doing it silver, because I was getting a bit bored. Wanted to try out a few more of the metallic colours, see if those would work for the moon. So I tried out it's kind of a pale bluey green. It seems to work in with, you seem to be heading towards a kind of steampunk kind of vibe, so I played along with that and tried to keep it to kind of blue, gold, a little bit of purple on the edges there, and lots of metal, which is mainly the Sharpies. There is a little bit of paper collage because, yeah, for this one I tried out my Arteza watercolour pencils for the clouds in the background, these clouds. and I found that they work okay, not the best, but they work okay for small areas rather than the big areas. This was a pretty big area here with the clouds, with the sky in the top there. And yeah, it didn't work at all. Maybe I'll bring in a little bit of the yellow ochre. Let's see how that goes. And then try blending it with the white. Yeah, I did mess up. That's why I ended up going in with the paper collage there towards the top. Which works, yeah. But originally there was like a night sky with stars. So I just cut all that out and stuck my collage paper behind. Alright, let's try blending with the white now. So that's why we're getting a little bit of a line coming through there, but I think we can work around it. Yeah, but yeah, it's looking a lot different to what's in the Wildflower Fruit book, I think. We need to add a bit more black in there for the roots. I don't know if it was the polychromos black, I just wrote down black. And what I've been using is the polychromos mainly, so it could have been Arteza, it could have been polychromos, but I don't think it makes a heck of a lot of difference. It's looking like I don't think this guy is a natural blonde. We could play up to that, I suppose. I'm going to go dark towards the roots. Yeah, he's not a natural blonde. Well, that kind of crept up on me, yep, apparently. Yeah, he's not natural blonde. It's okay then, that's the way we're going. Let's really darken those roots. Onto the camel brown, which is slightly lighter, just to try and blend in those roots a little bit. Just going to bring in the white gel pen, see how we get on with that. There would be a lot of highlights over this part of his hair because it's pretty close to that bright moon there. Hopefully I'll be able to fix that glare. So yeah, that's not working too badly. I don't think it's quite the same effect on the white paper as it is on the cream, but I think I can live with that. So I'll carry on and do the rest of his hair. Do the rest of his head, just using the same colours. It's a burnt umber, starting again with the roots, making those pretty dark. I'll move over towards the back of his head here just to try and avoid the rest of the glare from the moon. I'll be able to zoom in and we can avoid that glare from the moon. And he has got a bit of a braid going on here. So how we colour those is just make sure that the middle bit is pretty dark, and where the kind of strands of hair layer over one another, we make sure there's a bit of dark shading there. So yeah, it did end up going for a very steampunky vibe, this one, which I wasn't expecting, but that's just kind of how it turned out. That's how it happens sometimes, you just go where it takes you. I'm sure you know what I mean. And the owl, just to point that out, the owl, the bottom corner there, that's coloured the exact same way as the flowers in my How I Colour White Flowers video. The exact same colours, the light and the dark cool grey, and then the light blue and white polychromos, white gel pen. Yeah, that's how That's how I colour most things that are white. And that owl was just giving me a kind of snowy owl vibe, so I went with it. So there's going to be lots of white in this month's finished pages, I think, once I get onto it. He does seem to have shaved his head here, shaved this design into it. So I've just coloured that the same kind of skin colour and tried to do a few kind of dots to kind of show where his hair would be growing. Both with the darker and then with the white gel pen. So hopefully that's going to look as if his head, he shaved his head into it, into the design. With a bit of look. Okay, stay with that for now. We'll go on to the dark chocolate. Keeping the roots fairly dark. Again, not an effect I was planning on doing, but sometimes things just things just happen. Just go with them, see where it takes you. We're going to be getting slightly darker towards the back of his head here because we're getting away from the light of the moon. And moving on to the raw umber. Yeah, we're trying to bring in those kind of hair strand strokes where we can. Sometimes if there's not much area, you can't really. There are a few kind of drawn in, especially here, so if you just follow those, that would be fine. I do love colouring hair, so I tend to get a little bit carried away with it. I'm trying to make this fairly light towards this bottom edge because we want to make sure it looks as if that hair is, this hair is behind, that hair is on top. And a camel brown. I'm not sure if we'll bring in the yellow ochre this side. Maybe we'll leave it where this moon is shining there. Now try blending with the white. We're still going to have a little bit of light along the top of his head, so I'm leaving my little white highlight as I usually do. Let's just go over and emphasize our shadows in the black. Just trying to bring in the shadows down the bottom underneath where this braid goes, so we can actually see the braid kind of structure. Bring in some shadow behind on the other side as well. Probably bring in again the white highlights. It's just what I like to do, and it will emphasize this kind of braid structure plus as well as still giving an indication of where the light is shining on the top of his head there. So we're going to carry on with making these roots pretty dark, I think, especially over this side of his head. And I'm thinking really to emphasize where our light source is coming from. I might keep it fairly dark towards the roots here. Fade out as we go in towards the moon. Getting distracted again, that's perfect. That's part of the course for me. Wandered away from this side. Anyway, let's finish off this side one. So it's out of the way. Now it's done. Again with the black, making sure these roots are fairly dark. Moving on to burnt umber. There are actually hair strands drawn here already for us, so just going to follow those and make sure our roots are really dark. Alright, dark chocolate. Oh dear, this was supposed to be the same kind of delicate effect that we had going on in Wildflower Folk, but no. Apparently this guy is not delicate. kind of happens a lot. Peaches kind of take on a life of their own, I think. This is raw umber. Let's try and make just the very tips here be the lightest. We do have some side bands going on. Now onto the camel brown, and then we'll try blending it with the white. Yeah, I don't really want to use the yellow ochre down this side. We're trying to keep that down towards where the moon is shining. So let's just see what happens with the white. Probably add some white highlights where his hair comes across his face. That's what I like to do. I'll go back in with our darker browns. The umber. Again, it's not a totally realistic way to colour hair, but it's how I love to do it. I do love colouring hair. Even the short hair like this. Well, it's not terribly short. There's a bit of substance to it. Let's see what it looks like with the white highlights over by his face. I might need to go back in and actually add some shadows. Going up the hair with the line there a tiny little bit, but it does kind of make hair look a little bit more natural if you do that. I have a few strokes that go over the lines like that. I find anyways. But again, I just do it how I find it fun to do, so let's take the black and put a little bit of shadow onto his face. There we go. Looks a bit more three-dimensional. A little bit more like hair. That works pretty well, I think. Now let's go back over to, maybe if I swing it around, the glare won't show too badly. So this is the burnt umber, putting in his dark roots. This is a slightly different shade of kind of yellowy gold than the actual gold, but I've made sure that there's white along the edges there to make him stand out from the gold in the background. I'm going to try and make this fade out to very light colours where that moonlight's shining. We're going to try. Not sure it will work. Onto the dark chocolate. I don't want to go too crazy with these dark roots. There is a little bit of grayscale showing here. That will hopefully give us enough to be working with shadow-wise. And there'll be a lot more white on his hair there where the moon will be shining onto it. Okay, and we want to the raw umber. Not going right to the ends. I need that base marker colour. The base marker colour, which I haven't mentioned so far, that is the lemon chiffon Y030 from the Ohuhu markers. Just to give a really light kind of base to it. That can work as part of the highlights, I thought. That was the plan. Hey, camel brown. Let's just make sure we do add a few kind of hair strands here. Right, let's try blending those with the white, which will also lighten that base marker colour slightly. Make our pencil marks smoother. And also a tiny bit paler, but I don't mind that so much as long as you bear it in mind when you colour in the first place. I think it's pretty easy to work around. Although you could use a blend pencil. Depends on personal preference, I suppose. I'm going over the black lines. Get towards the moon, I'm going over the black lines as well, just to knock them back a bit. Make them a slightly paler grey. Just kind of emphasises the fact that the moon is shining on his hair and lighting it up quite a lot. It's really close to the moon. Going to emphasise our shadows with the black a little bit more. Maybe also a few little hair strokes into the middle. Just to make each kind of chunk of hair separate and give it a little bit of form. Try and make it look a little bit 3D. I suppose not being a natural blonde does kind of explain why his eyebrows are dark. Those were originally drawn in dark, so yeah, let's make those pretty dark brown with the black and the burnt umber. There we go, that's its natural colour. Alright, let's see what we can do with the white highlights now. Let's even go over these black lines a little bit where his hair does actually go across the moon. Might need to do a little bit more colouring. Those possibly. Hopefully that'll show that the moon is shining through it, but I don't know. At least it looks lit up, if nothing else. Okay, let's just very lightly use the black to make a shadow there. Where his hair goes across his face. And yeah, I might bring in the raw rubber maybe. A little bit of. There we go, that's better. Just a tiny bit of shading on those bits of hair going across the moon. There we go, I'm going to be calling him there, I think. That's worked pretty well. And if nothing else, it showed you the colour combination that I use for colouring kind of a honey blonde sort of hair. I do apologise for the glare coming off the moon. Hopefully that isn't too distracting. And hopefully you've enjoyed seeing how I coloured that hair in. So take care everyone. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in future videos. Bye!